Hey folks, I just got a hold of a tape of a comedy act that I did at an open mic night way back in March of this year of 2010. Be sure to enjoy it, because I certainly did. Thank you.
We're almost done here, so just give us 1 minute.
Hold on 1 minute.
Let's give a round of applause.
Cookie. I'm eating the cookie, he's eating the frost.
Man, does that guy have a great hat or what? Let's see here. I tell you what, that band, the band that came up before me, let me be the first to say that up to code is certainly up to spec, alright? Yeah, good stuff. Man, they really helped me clear that wax out of my ears. I tell you what, it was the best 5 minutes of my life. But hey, folks, you may remember last semester I did open mic night. I talked about languages. I brought us from jolly old England over to China and a great tour of all world languages. And now I'd like to give you a little tour of something a little more familiar. College of Dupage. All the material that I'm bringing you tonight is harvested right here, homegrown, right here on campus. Let's hear it! Yeah! C. O. D. That is the hardest one, the D. I mean, I don't know how you actually sign that. I've been meaning to look that up in Wikipedia or something. I mean, when you see the cheerleading squad and they try to do it at the basketball games, they go C, O, and then they hold up a little placard for D. C, O, D. I tell you. Actually, I think they have just a whole bunch of placards, C, O, and D, but I'm sure it would be funny if they just had one for D. The reason why I know that is because I announced all the basketball games during the winter here for WDCB 90.9 FM. My job over the radio station, we covered the games play-by-play, all the home ones. And so it was a real good time. But there was this one really funny moment when we were setting up. It takes about 20 minutes to set all the equipment up. Our technician, he was talking with some of my other co-hosts, and the girls' team was practicing during the time. And they were kind of debating which ones they thought were the cutest. And all of a sudden, Eli, you can hear it real clearly in the recording, he says, yeah, that's the problem with having a girlfriend, but mine, she don't know nothing. She's down in Champaign-Urbana. I mean, right on the internet, over the air, man. Every time I go by him in the halls, I have a little pocket recorder I pull out, click, hey, you want to hear this one you like? Good stuff. I had a little moment like that myself once. It was halftime, and so we went off air. But then the cheerleading squad, they went to perform. It was like the first time they performed for the games for the whole year. It was awesome. Because the first toss of this one girl they did, it was unbelievable. The girl almost like hit the ceiling. It went wrong, but in a good way. They didn't mean to go that high. And just as she crested up to the top of the peak, the whole crowd was like, oh, everybody was silent. And then right then I went, yeah! Everybody started looking at me. It was awesome. And my one guy, Pete, he says, man, with that pizza in one hand, it looked like a beer and you were sitting on the 50-yard line of a Bears game or something. Just about as intense when you come to Closs Court at COD. But hey, I promised you guys a tour. So let's start from a location we all know. The Berg Instructional Center, or as I affectionately call it, the perpetually under construction rectangle. Room 2054 is where my Spanish class is. I step out of that room, and then I start walking through the halls like anybody. Well, it's hard to moonwalk with these damn things in front of me here. But I start walking through the halls, and I say hi to all my different friends. Because it's like we had a whole people from all the corners of the world here. I say hi to my Lithuanian friends. You know, say hi in Lithuanian. It's labas. Anybody know that? It's like the final Jeopardy question yesterday. And so, in the sloot over there, you don't have to say labas. You just like take the first letter of that word and go, hey man, how's it going? And it must be a really important sign over there, because whenever I give it to them, they snap it right back to me. It's good stuff. And so, yeah, and then there's other times when I come up to my Arabic friends to say hello in Arabic. Everyone should know this. Assalamu alaikum. And then they respond, alaikum assalam. It's like real good stuff. It's like one of those little tongue twisters that I get used to. But the funniest thing is, one day I went up to a guy and said, Assalamu alaikum. He went, bonjour. I'm like, oh, that's a hell of a lot of jet lag from Mecca to Paris like that. Good stuff. Only at the College of Dupage can you get an experience like that. And as I'm walking out of the hall there, through the hall, I pick up this great periodical that I think we all know. I think it goes by the name of Courier, right? Great newspaper, because it has this amazing section that is so funny. What is it, folks? Say it with me. The police reports. Yes, man, those things are laugh out loud. There was this one particular occasion, I remember it very well. It read something like, on the evening of February 24th, the men's baseball team shattered a window in the north end of the Physical Education Center. And then I could just imagine how that panned out. Hey, coach, we hit a home run today. You want to come see? Something like that.
It's the imagination that really pulls the best part. There was another one. It was just a couple weeks ago. Real icy conditions. And this fella, it said, due to icy conditions, a gentleman had to swerve to the right on the intersection of College Road and Lambert in order to avoid hitting oncoming traffic, but yet still hit the college welcome sign. And sure enough, I drove by that puppy the next day, and there it was, the welcome sign with a big shark bite taken out of it. It was kind of like the welcome you get at a funeral home or something. Welcome. Something like that. I didn't do the voice, or I did the shark jaw. Yeah, it's all right. But as I was saying, the great thing about the police as well is down at the radio station, there's a little police scanner actually just right before you get into the studio. And so sometimes before I go on air, I walk by and I listen to what the Smokies are saying over there. And this one time, I kid you not, this is the gospel truth what I heard. There's a van on fire in the north parking lot. Roger. And those guys sounded like they were just shooting the breeze. How you doing, Sam? Great, thanks, Rod. Hey, by the way, there's a man on fire in the north parking lot. Get around to that, will you? Roger. It was hilarious. I would have stopped and listened to that whole thing from beginning to end if I didn't have to go on air right then. But hey, getting back to where we left off, we were in that hallowed hall in between the Berg Instructional Center and the SRC building. As I turn the corner there, I go by where somebody's always handing out some sort of pamphlet, right? I mean, how loaded down are we because of those darn pamphlets? And so I'm walking by there, and I get by the library. And in the library, there's this great little cafe. It's called Arbor Vitae. I spend like 90% of my time in there. And the folks in there have some of the best stories. The best one has to be my friend, this guy named Kunal, this Indian guy. He's really fierce at whatever he does. And so I always get into these big, passionate arguments with Kunal. And so for Lent, I said, you know what, Kunal, I'm going to give up arguing with you for Lent. And 2 days later, guess what he gave up for Lent, even though he's not Catholic? Speaking. Yeah, the guy always has to top me. So for 40 days, he's been silent as a church mouse. But the best thing is, though, is when he starts to laugh, because there's like something really funny going on, he can't make any sound of laughing noise. So he has to hold it back in like... It's like, I think he's going to hyperventilate whenever he does that. It's the funniest damn thing I've ever seen. And good stuff in there. And so when I pull out of the cafe and I keep walking the moonwalk, right? Yeah, what's great about the moonwalk is I try to do it everywhere I can. But the problem is it gets a little tricky when you come to the stairs. So I always take the elevator down. And so as I take that great little clear elevator down to the first floor where we are, and I end up, before I come to my favorite place in the whole world, the Oasis Entertainment Lounge, right? I stop by, there's that one guy right there, woo! I stopped by the bookstore, good old Fowler's bookstore. I originally bought the bullet this semester, and I bought this math book for like a C-note, and even though I know I could have picked it up somewhere else for less, but I bought it. But then, my technician, Eli Salcedo, you remember him, the guy who famously was talking on the internet, he sold me his book, and so I naturally returned the book when I bought there. And so when I go to return it, I get like the best service I've had in my life for returning a product. And so I naturally said to the manager, it's been a pleasure not doing business with you. And so I walk out of that place, and I finally get right here to the Oasis Entertainment Lounge. But let's reset this trip. Let's just go round trip one more time. Back to where we started. It's just one room over from my Spanish class. There's my math class. And that place, that's something else. I feel like I'm the last person in the world whenever we take a test in that math class. Because everybody else leaves like a half hour before I do. And the teacher just melts into the front wall. And I'm sitting there by myself trying to figure out the theory of relativity or something like that. And so one test, I was scribbling away to beat all odds, working 6 ways to Sunday to get this one problem down. All I can hear is the scraping of the pencil. Shh, 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 shh. Then all of a sudden, through that little transom in between the wall and the window, I hear, look, it's James! And right then I break the tip of my pencil, of course. I look up and I see one of my co-hosts, my associates, a girl I call Fontella Free Throw Stamps, who bounces the basketball games with me. And she keeps prattling on, it's James, look, he's taking a test. And I'm trying to write and wave to her with my free hand and everything. And then finally, I hear, as she's prattling on, this really gravelly male voice. The white guy? I'm like, yeah, that's me. Of course. I don't usually go by that because I've always kind of thought of myself as not belonging to any particular race. I am one of the, let's see if I got enough room here, one of the 5 Caucasians in America that can moonwalk. And so, I listened to a lot of Marvin Gaye music too when I was growing up. Yeah, brother, brother, what's going on across this land? I won't sing the rest of that song. simply because the great band Chaos Theory is coming up next. They told me they were going to open with that number, and so I wouldn't want to go and steal their thunder like that, folks. But I tell you, if I did sing that song, if I did, there would not be a dry eye in the house. Because it would be right near the end that I pull up my secret Motown weapon. And then I start doing it all together. Like nobody else. The one, the only James Brevoort. And I'm sure, I got to Roger a couple minutes left. I'm sure which of these two things you're talking to here, but I'll pick this one. I got a little time for one last story, folks. I'm going to go back to the cafe, Arbor Vitae. There's a friend of mine there called Hunter. And Hunter, he tells the most interesting stories I've ever heard. He had this one stepfather named Pete. All the stories seem to revolve around Pete. And he told this one great story of how Pete, he grew up on this row of houses. It was like classic Americana, all cookie cutters. But they found one day when Pete was working in his bedroom trying to set up a speaker system, there was this amazing cord like running through the wall that no one knew about. They said, what the H is this? So they took the speakers that they were trying to hook up, and they did some like Mr. Wizard trick and threw the speakers into microphones, and were speaking into that cord to see what they could hear. And then all of a sudden, they hear Pete's voice down in the kitchen. It's like, what the hell is going on? So I come to find out, the way these houses were configured is that the realtor set it up so that they would all be broadcasting the same music at once in their kitchens to make everyone feel at home, right? But then, once they sold the houses, they would just drive all over the speaker, and no one would know what's in there in the wall. And so, what they would do is they have this one great neighbor named Larry, this like humongous Italian guy named Larry, and he would bring in some lady friends late in the night. So as soon as Larry turned on his kitchen lights, they would get on the stick and say, Larry, you fat mother, what are you doing in there? And he would run out of his house doing laps trying to find those crazy kids. And they would do this like 5 nights a week. It was awesome. And so then they had this other neighbor, we'll call her Mrs. Jones, this real quaint old lady. They'd say, Mrs. Jones, this is your conscience speaking. I do not like how you cheated on your taxes this year. And so Mrs. Jones' priest found out very quickly what a penitential person she was, like the star member of the parish. But like every good story, it had to come to an end. Somebody eventually figured out what these kids were up to, and they had to fess up to it. But Pete famously said, man, even though we had to fess up, it was great while it lasted. And that's what those same words ring true right now, ladies and gentlemen. I've loved speaking to you, but I gotta go. The man in the hat's coming for me. It was fun while it lasted. Thank you.